You know that feeling when you look at someone you love, a parent, maybe, and suddenly it just hits you how much time has passed? It's this universal, kind of heart-stopping moment. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today with Kamala Das's incredible poem, My Mother at 66. It's a short but powerful piece that perfectly captures that sudden realization and all the complicated feelings that come with it.
And this line right here, this is the gut punch. It's the whole poem in a nutshell. That sudden, painful moment when she looks at her mother and the reality of her age just clicks into place. This is the spark for the entire emotional journey we're about to explore.
So to really get the poem's power, we first have to understand the poet herself. Who was this woman who could capture such a huge feeling in so few words?
Well, Kamala Das was one of India's most celebrated poets. She came from Kerala, and her writing is just known for its raw honesty and its incredible sensitivity. She had this amazing knack for getting right to the heart of complex human relationships, all the subtle, unspoken stuff. And this poem, it's a masterclass in that.
Now, here's something really crucial about the poem's structure. The whole thing is just one long sentence, only broken up by commas. And that's not just a clever trick. It's designed to feel like a single, unbroken stream of consciousness. It's like we're inside the poet's head, experiencing this rush of thoughts and fears right along with her, with no time to even take a breath.
So this torrent of thought all starts in a pretty ordinary setting. The poet is just driving her mother to the airport. It's a scene any of us could imagine, but it's about to become anything but ordinary.
She just glances over at our mom, who's dozing in the passenger seat, her mouth a little open. It's a really intimate, unguarded moment. But what the poet sees in that moment is what triggers everything.
Wow, that is a heavy and really unsettling comparison, isn't it? The word ashen just drains all the life from the image. And by comparing her to a corpse, the poet is suddenly forced to confront her mother's fragility and the terrifying idea of her own mortality. And this isn't some slow, creeping realization. Nope. It's a sudden, sharp pain. The thought of losing her mother becomes overwhelmingly real, and her first instinct is just to look away. She needs a distraction. Anything to get away from this awful thought. So, to try and escape that feeling, she quickly turns her head and looks out the car window, trying to find some relief in the world that's rushing by. And what she sees is an immediate, stark contrast. Inside the car, you have the quiet, pale, sleeping figure of her mother, a symbol of decay, really. But outside, the world is just bursting with life. She sees young trees that seem to be sprinting and happy children spilling out of their homes.
Let's pause on that for a second. The trees aren't just passing by, she describes them as sprinting. Why use such an active, energetic word like that?
Well, it's because sprinting is packed with this sense of youth and energy and forward motion. It is the exact opposite of her mother's stillness. This whole vibrant scene outside is a deliberate attempt by the poet to push away those dark, heavy thoughts that she's having inside the car. But of course, that distraction can only last for so long. When they finally get to the airport and go through security, she looks at her mother one last time, and that painful feeling comes rushing right back.
So now they're standing a few yards apart. And that physical distance, it kind of mirrors the much bigger emotional separation that she's so afraid of. It's in this moment of saying goodbye that the fear really hits home.
The poet uses another really powerful comparison here to describe her mother. Wan, pale as a late winter's moon. Think about it. A winter moon isn't bright and full like a summer moon. It's often hazy, it lacks warmth, it lacks light. It's the perfect symbol for a life that's fading.
And seeing this brings on what she calls that old familiar ache. This isn't some new feeling. It's that deep down fear every kid has of losing their parent, that primal fear of being separated. It's something that's been with her whole life, and now it's back with a vengeance. So let's just really break that down. What does the late winter's moon really signify here? It's all about old age, decay, and a loss of energy and vibrancy. Just like the winter moon signals the end of a season, the poet is terrified that her mother is nearing the end of her own life. So the poem wraps up with how she actually responds to this overwhelming feeling of dread. She can't say what she's really thinking, so instead, she falls back on a few simple words and one repeated action.
Her parting words are so deliberately hopeful. See you soon, Amma. It's a reassurance, right? It's a promise that, deep down, she's afraid might not come true. She's saying it just as much for herself as she is for her mother. And with those words, she just smiles. But it's not a real smile, you know? It's a mask. It's a performance she's putting on to hide the ache she feels inside, to avoid upsetting her mom, and to just hold herself together.
The repetition of smile at the very end is just so telling. It's not one easy smile. It's a continuous, almost desperate effort. She has to keep smiling and smiling to hold back the tears and to leave her mother with an image of reassurance instead of an image of her own heartbreak.
So what does it all really mean, those parting words and that endless smile? Well, they represent that painful conflict that so many of us feel, the desperate need to offer hope even when you're terrified, and the quiet helplessness we have in the face of time. It's a brave and ultimately a truly heartbreaking farewell.